Hello and welcome to episode 26 of our Timberborn Update 7 Folktails playthrough here in Cycle 36, Day 5. We have 1.6 days left before a drought comes, and the game is still paused. You might be asking yourself, why have you not unpaused the game? Well, I'm going to show you, because, I was messing around earlier trying to do some troubleshooting, had some issues with the most recent update breaking some mods, and I noticed that when I had unpaused the game, this entire area became flooded with Badwater, and I asked myself, why and how had that happened? And it turns out, as you will recall from our previous video, they replaced the natural overhangs with full-size blocks of terrain, which has some advantages, but also apparently has some disadvantages. So tell me if we're missing anything here. You see this? This Badwater source is currently completely unblocked. So what's happened here is this was previously made of the natural overhangs. And now it's been turned, I don't think I can get low enough to show you. Maybe I can, yeah. It's been turned into regular blocks, which normally would not be an issue for us to fix because we can tunnel. But see what happens when I try to do this is, one, I can't build this here, period, point blank, because there's a zipline station in place. But this is the top of this whole earthen area, and it has blockages and stuff, which are going to make it impossible for us to get in here. So no matter what we do, unless it's possible for the builders to construct either a Badwater dome or a Badwater rig, which, let's just go ahead and make sure that's facing correctly, does not fit anymore here because of the height clearance being a problem. So unless they can build a Badwater dome here and shut it instantaneously, we are going to have an enormous problem with Badwater getting into our reservoir for our aquatic farm here, which is extremely annoying because there's absolutely nothing I can do to prevent this. And in addition to that, because of the way that these things are here, when I unpause this in a little bit, it's going to flood Badwater here as well. There's no way to prevent this. Literally no way to prevent this. So, yeah. Folks, this is going to cause a lot of issues, but there's not anything else we can do about it. I just figured I'd explain what's going on before we start, and then, oh, there's so much Badwater everywhere. What'd you do? Like, well, it's not me, actually, for once. The game made a change, and it broke stuff. Which, is the whole experimental mode thing is, hey, come beta test these cool new things we're doing, which is awesome. But the other side of that coin is sometimes stuff is just going to break and there's nothing you can do about it, and you don't have the right to complain because you agreed to beta test their stuff. So, it absolutely is really, really annoying that this is going to be happening, but that's the way it goes. So, in order to try and prevent any contamination of biobeavers, we do need to take a very quick look and see if we have any reason. I guess I should take a look at what's over here. If we have any reason for biobeavers to come over here, and yeah, we got lodges over here that we probably should have removed. But, we're not going to be able to get away from this. Like, these guys are going to have direct access to the poison. And, unless I get rid of this, which there's no reason to get rid of it, because we're going to want to put the Badwater dome on here anyway. We can no longer use this as a Badwater rig outpost. It's... Ugh. So what I'm going to choose to do instead is I'm going to disconnect this pylon from the station, so it is going to break the network a little bit, but it's for the greater good. So we're just going to completely disconnect that. There are no beavers or bots on here, and that's going to prevent anyone from accidentally traveling through this station. And we're just going to have to suck it up and deal with having some really nasty poison water come through here. And I hope we don't have... Alright, bud, where are you going, man? Is there a fluid dump over here? Why are you walking over here? There should be no reason for this beaver to be over here. What fluid dump do you work at? All the way over here? Now, why would you be... Is he manually supplying his water from there? He absolutely is. Oh, no. Okay. Well, I think we're going to run into... we're going to run into some real bad problems here in a little bit. Probably the only way to prevent this reasonably is to just completely disconnect these paths in such a way where it's not going to be possible for the beavers to actually pathfind, which I think means there has to be complete disconnection of any path that could be remotely used to get between two spots. So, that's the way it's gonna go. 6 minutes into the video, and we're actually gonna unpause the game, but oh, this hurts. This hurts so bad to see all this poison water come through here. Oh, man. That is, it's actually painful. So, I'm gonna manually close this sluice gate. We are going to have to, during the drought, just drain this whole thing out, blast a hole through here. And, that's just the way she goes. Completely impossible to prevent. So now what we need to do is we need to replace the Badwater output that has been so brutally removed from our ability to, do anything with. And I'm not sure. I haven't looked at this. Yeah, see, this one doesn't work either. So it seems like, maybe... it was kind of an exploit that we'd ended up doing. And I don't think... Let's peel back layers here. Alright, so we go one more layer, and it's open. Yeah, we're not going to be able to use this. Because we'd have to get on top and then blast a hole through this, and, we could just cover it back up on the top, but it's not really anything we can do about it. So, yeah. Absolute pain and suffering and just rage on my part. Not at the developers, because they warned us this would happen, but at myself, because I figured out I probably could have prevented that if I had been a little bit more intelligent. But let's talk about some happy stuff, because there is still some pretty cool stuff we can do with this. So I said I opened this up for testing earlier. If we go ahead and we, hold on, let me peel this back. If we go ahead and cut this as a complete tunnel, all the way through. Now, before they get too far, we also need to do this level here. I'm going to show you something pretty neat here in a second. If we go ahead and have them just detonate this whole thing all the way through, it turns out that we're going to be able to answer a question a lot of you had in the comments. And that is it possible to put a zip line through a tunnel? So, the answer is yes. But I think it's got to be a specific size. And I did test this with a 2 high, because, there is a little bit of clearance you have to take care of. But it does work. And I'm going to show it to you, because I think we should see what this looks like. But in doing this, we can also kind of demonstrate one of the other cool things that we've discovered, and you guys have told me about in this whole thing here. So let's check and see what our detonation is looking like. Okay, making some nice progress. Should be done in just a moment here. Just a little bit more. So what happens when we make a tunnel is it replaces each block that we, designate as tunnel with a platform. And yes, those of you who have asked, can you remove the platforms? The answer is yes. So I'm not going to remove all of them just yet, but we will get rid of these. When you remove a platform, you also, in my experience at least, I could be just doing something wrong, but when you move one of these platforms out of the way, you get rid of it, you are no longer able to build tunnels above that because there's no support structure. You'd have to put something back in, but I've not actually tried to put stuff back in, so I'm not entirely sure if that's how that would work. So for what I'm trying to do now is I'm just trying to demonstrate using this stuff that we can do zip lines through here, and we're going to end up using this for something sooner rather than later anyway. But I would imagine if you're going to do something like this, you should probably make sure what your end height is going to be before you start taking the platforms out. Because as was demonstrated so kindly in our Discord. I will try my best to remember to put a screenshot of that in here. You can actually create some pretty cavernous underground spaces if you plan carefully. So you see the terrain blocks here like we did last episode. You can build them 3 blocks off of any cliff, any overhang thing, and just kind of stack that infinitely. So if you have a cavernous space where at no point there is an overhang from any wall or support longer than 3 blocks, then you can have it be as big inside as you want. So yes, you can make a hollow pyramid. You can create the Bass Pro Shops Pyramid of Memphis if you so desire. And, or, you know, any other kind of pyramid, but that's just the one that I think is the funniest example to bring up, as a Bass Pro Shops that used to be a sports venue in hopes of attracting an NBA team to Memphis, but then the Grizzlies, formerly of Vancouver, decided they didn't want to play there because it was too run down, so they built a new thing anyway, FedEx Forum, and then the old facility eventually just got disused, and then Bass Pro Shops said, let's put a Bass Pro Shops in this pyramid, and then it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. So, regardless, now it's a drought time, and it is 29 days, which is almost our maximum, which gives us plenty of time to come in and place a Badwater dome. Remember, this doesn't have to be rotated a specific way because it has no entrance. We're just going to seal up this little evil right here with the help of this zipline station. And hopefully that will prevent this from happening ever again. And like I said, it is very unfortunate, but we are going to need to drain this. And this is going to be an interesting thing for us to solve because, you know, this is nasty. This is poison, but this is not yet poison. So I think, you know, we have these already set as dams here. All we have to do, in theory, is take these away. Remember, this drains off the map. We are going to lose a lot of water, but we cannot, absolutely cannot put poison water in here, so it does not matter. We're just going to have to deal with whatever else happens as a result of this. This is way too much to pump out. It's going to evaporate anyway. So we're just going to say goodbye, and that's it. It might not be what you choose to do if you were doing a playthrough, but you know what? There's a saying in model railroading, my railroad, my rules. So when the people say, hey, they never ran that locomotive in that paint scheme, you can say, but I can, because it's my railroad and it's my rules. My beavers, my rules. Of course, you're allowed to play however you choose. But I'm just going to flush this nasty out of here because I don't want to deal with it, and I would feel a lot safer if we didn't have to mess with it. So, away she goes. Say sayonara to the nasty, or most of it at least. And I really hope nobody comes to grab this, so in fact, I'm going to delete it. So there's absolutely no temptation. And, again, those guys were coming for it too. This just makes me so sad. We tried so hard, but in the end it didn't even matter. All that being said, what do you mean they can't reach this? Oh, come on, man. Okay, now it's personal. Now it's personal. I guess they needed a space in front of this on the ground to get to, which they, of course, are not able to. Wowee. Alright, bad day to be a beaver. Bad day to be a beaver in this playthrough. But we can get them up here if we have a connection to the path system, which, you know, is not necessarily a quick or simple process. Now it is, so they'll be able to take care of that, and then all of our wonderful, beautiful, clean, amazing, life-giving water has been tainted by the stench of betrayal, and now we have to move on. And we also can't put another one of those things there. So, what do we do about Badwater harvesting? Because we only have 415 and we're using it. Now, the question you might be asking yourself is, why are you making all the Badwater go away when you could just pump it out? Well, again, like I said, we're never going to be able to pump all of this out, so it does not matter to leave it in place. But you'll also notice I didn't blast all the way down. There's a tiny bit left. So what we're going to do is, because we have this space up here, where this is all just super nasty, what we can do, just because we have the opportunity to take advantage of this, is don't open the menu. That is the incorrect thing to do. We can put in a Badwater pump, but notice it's Folktails. It can only be 2 blocks deep. We will have to, once this drains enough, build down in here just a little bit, and we'll harvest what we can, because again, we've got 27 days, and it just is what it is. But I do not want these beavers to get sick, because we haven't built the herbalist, which, you know, we could just go ahead and build, but I'm a man of principles, and I'm I'm not gonna do it, because I didn't think it was supposed to be a thing that we had to use. You know how it goes, best laid plans and all that. So we're gonna let this again continue to drain for a little bit, and then it's going to get low enough where we can actually put some stuff in there, and then, you know, get a decent amount of Badwater out of it. But you didn't come here for that. You came here for the wonderful, amazing beauty of these zip lines going through the tunnel. So we're just going to get rid of those. They're going to come grab all these different pieces, and I think the easiest way to demonstrate this without actually building anything, because I'm not entirely sure how I want to go about this permanently, but I do want to show it to you. So if I pause this, we put the zipline beam there in the tunnel. Again, easiest way to line it up. All we got to do is hook it up here, and it gave us that check mark. And friends, that is a bad camera angle. That is fully connected. It hasn't been built yet, and it won't be built, because again, we're going to try and do something a little bit different. But it does allow you to go through tunnels. I would imagine that there might be problems with putting something else under it, but no? It's going to let me do this? Okay. Well, that's actually a revelation. Look at this. Look at this, folks. A 1x1 hole will actually support a zipline. That's incredible. I genuinely did not think that was possible. Very cool. Again, like I said, I'm not going to actually construct this because I want to do something slightly different. But that is really cool. That is actually fascinating. So I thought, go back to triple speed, I thought it would be kind of cool to hollow out the inside of this a little bit and then put some well-being stuff inside. You know, we have things like the Agora that we've already put underground. Technically not underground, but down here. That does require a height of, I think I have 4 set up in this. Yeah, requires a height of 4, so we can't put that in there. But, you know, the dance hall, we take a look at this. I'm like 90% sure I can get away with... Oops, I was wrong. Okay, so it's a height of 3. Somebody made a mistake, and that person's name is me. But we have other stuff we can put in there too, like the frog statue, for example. I heard something about a frog and shower cave in the comments several episodes ago. So, you know, we have options to make some pretty interesting stuff. And I personally am of the opinion that if you have the chance to do something cool, you should do it. Not just in the game, but in life, you know. Take your opportunities when you can, because you never know when you're going to get them again. All that being said, this is not a philosophy channel. This is me playing a beaver game on the internet. So let's plan out what we're going to be doing here. I just have this peeled back so I can get an idea of how shallow it has to be. If we put in, say, 2 of these guys here, flip that and then turn it around, that's going to leave us 2 spaces in the middle. And we do have the ability to shower, which we could just do like a simple thing like this, right? It doesn't have to be super complicated. But I do really like the idea of just making stupid, absurd stuff just because we can. So I think, you know, the dimensions of the terrain notwithstanding, it is going to be in our best interest to do just something simple, nice and easy, just like this. So I can put in 2 of these frog statues and then 2 showers right here. Again, Kurt, this is for you. Oh, I know you're gonna love this, but we'll go ahead and let them get in on that. And it is gonna be, you know, kind of hidden, not super well, but it's gonna be kind of hidden. And all we have to do is put in a water dump. I have to figure out exactly how that's going to go, but I don't think that's going to be too terribly hard. I might actually need to slightly modify this to make this viable. Because if I put a thing in the middle... Yeah, you know what? We have the ability to go ahead and extend the terrain before we blast anything out. So I'm going to take the chance to do that. They're not going to be able to build this up here, but I think this might be enough if I just do this bit here, so it's covered up. Yeah, so let's do that, and then I'll do one more here, one more there. I love having this matrix measurement that shows up in the middle of the screen there. That is tremendous. It's actually super helpful. But yeah, we're going to let them take care of this, and then we'll go check on our Badwater cap construction. And then I might add a little bit more terrain on this side so you can't quite see inside of it. But we will see here in just a moment what the rest of this is going to be looking like. Now, this still looks pretty natural. I think I am going to put this here and this here just to kind of even it out a little bit. But I feel pretty good about this. Let's go ahead and get rid of these buildings here. Now, you might be saying, wait a second. You're going to get rid of these supports and your stuff's going to collapse. Well, no, not exactly, because, remember, it's 3 from the nearest support. So this wall counts as a support. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it also has this one on this side here. So unless I'm about to make an absolute fool out of myself in the next 5 seconds, I think we're going to be okay. So that's gone. And the mountain is still there. Oh, yes. Look at this. Look at this. But yes, I digress. Let's put in just real simple 3 pieces of dynamite there, and then we'll have shower on the side, water dump in the middle, and then we'll have our frog statues, which I guess I could just go ahead and build here. So for the ease of access and convenience and okay, people who don't understand the bit are going to be very confused about all of this. Just be assured this is a normal thing that my chat does in live streams. Totally normal. But get this thing all ready to go, and that is going to be pretty nice. Alright, and, you know, just bring this around this way, get that connected, and we can do a little bit of landscaping as well. Remember, I showed that hedges actually work in here, and we have fences as well, but I do like the idea of hedges. We can also put some shrubs in. So if you put shrubs at the very end, then here you can put a couple of hedges. And then, you know, you get further out toward the outside, and you can put some other stuff as well. But this is quite silly. Objectively pretty weird. But, you know, this is a game about, you know, walking, talking beavers who... Wait, did I do this wrong? I did. It's a game about walking, talking beavers that have devised technology to reclaim the Earth after humankind is all gone. You gotta suspend disbelief. Just a touch. But yeah. You know, you can't see it from here. A little stealthy. Okay, you can see it from here. So we're gonna take the opportunity now to kind of prevent that, just a little bit, and bring that out this way. But I think this is, it's just the right amount of stupid to say that's pretty dumb, but it's also cool. I hope you agree. But I digress. We're going to get those guys in here to build this, and we're going to move on with our lives. Good. This thing can betray us no more. It is such a shame, but, you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles, folks. And we can just get this connected straight the way across. Looking good. And now the level is about as low as it's going to be able to be. We can very easily come over here nice and simply with, we'll just say 2 Badwater pumps. Get that popped in there. And then, of course, they're going to have some storage. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but I am just going to put a medium tank there. Set that to Well, actually, no, let's not set it to supply, because that's going to start bringing it from the other side. Because we have 24 days left, and we don't have any Badwater. We have a bunch of stuff to do with it. Like, while it doesn't directly get used in the refinery for making the catalyst or the biofuel, it's used to make extract, which is used to make catalyst. And we have 2,600 extract right now, so we're probably going to be fine regardless. But you never want to catch yourself out of something if you can prevent it. So that's my philosophy on that. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to unpause these bot part factories and, you know, actually tell them to make stuff. So we got... Actually, we have plenty of limbs. That's kind of rare. Kind of rare. Let's get a bot in there. I just did limbs. What am I doing? Get that in there. And then... Did I just have two of them make the same thing? Chassis and... heads. No! Cool, I did it right. Then we have to get these turned on as well, because we really need to start increasing the number of bots so we can, you know, take care of all of our problems. But because this is sufficiently contaminated, and this is all completely connected, they should be able to pump a decent bit of this before it dries out. And it will dry out before the end of 23 days, because it's only one tile deep. But you know, they're doing decent work, and we can't really be upset about that. Can they actually build this? I guess they can. But what I am going to have to do is I'm going to have to turn these two around so that they can actually construct them. I think they should have no problem building this one, but we're going to have to see in the morning when they come in here and do that, unless the bots are in charge of it. Which they should be, because that's what I have all my my builder sets set to. Now I am so curious. What are they building instead? Because I'm pretty sure all of this is taken up. This is just objectively one of the weirdest things I've ever built, but it's you literally asked for this, so I'm giving it to you. This is not something I would normally build on my own, but I do think it is situationally very funny. Yeah, and there's poison water in here too. That's a huge shame. Well, we do have these irrigation stations here, so I think we should be okay if I just go ahead. Oh, no, I can't, because I'm going to have to... well, it'll evaporate anyway. It doesn't matter. It's not really hurting anything. I am glad, though, that this has not broken. These sluices here. That was a concern that I had, that it wouldn't quite work. So that's very good to see. I'm so curious. Like how much they're actually going to be able to pump here. And they're constantly using it, so we're probably never going to know. But it is still very cool. All right, yeah, you know, half an hour into the episode, let's actually do something completely new that isn't dumb. There are a decent amount of comments, suggestions, last couple of episodes, about what to do with the quote-unquote castle walls here. And there were a lot of you. And there are more than I responded to, because it feeds me the comments in reverse order, so the newest ones always get seen first. So those of you who comment super early on the videos, you're usually the first person to suggest an idea, but you're not the first person I see suggesting it. So I do try to, at least some of the time, go back and reply to the very earliest time someone suggests something. But if I just see it and I think it's cool, I'm going to reply to that, and then I notice, oh, okay, well, they're not actually the first person that suggested that. But please don't take that as me ignoring what you're putting in. That's just, I see something else first and I reply to it. But the suggestion that was made, which I really like, is to put in like canals inside the wall to divert bad water. Like kind of like how we have here, this going in between here, pretend that these are two walls. We have an opportunity, because of the way this is laid out, we have this bad water thing right here that we would like to not have pollute somewhere. But if we, instead of capping this, if we used the new tunnel stuff, which we can just bore infinitely, if we use that to divert and generate power with the help of the water wheels, then I think, and you guys mostly seem to agree, that that would be a really cool thing to do kind of around the entire perimeter of the map as we continue rebuilding the walls. So I kind of today wanted to start that process at least a little bit and kind of talk about what size the walls need to be or should be. Because right now, this land is basically already here. And if we follow straight over, we hold down X, this gives me this little cursor thing. And we follow this just perfectly off to the side here. So this bit here is the same distance from the edge of the map as this bit here, where the gravity batteries are from. So I think it's not unreasonable for us to say that the castle wall should be this wide, which if we have 2, 2, and 2, gives us a pretty nice setup. And in the middle of that, we can put our water wheel because that's 2 blocks wide. I think that is a winning idea. And that also kind of conforms to what we did here. Obviously, this is 3 wide, but I think that's what I want to go with. So what we can do, remember, we do have full storage of dirt at 1200. We can keep mining more. But what I would like to do eventually is just fill this in completely. Kind of mark this out on the bottom here so we don't forget what we're doing. And then try to make it a priority over the next couple of episodes to really put some effort into this. Obviously, you know, it's not going to be this low, but this is just for me to remember. We follow this around. Obviously, you know, I say obviously too much, obviously. But this is completely inside the bounds of that here. You'll notice this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here, which meets up with this perfectly fine. We'd have to build this up a little bit, but you just keep going around, and it lines up really, really nicely. Obviously, I have to stop saying obviously. I'm serious. I'm so serious right now. But yeah, I just think the 6 wide is real nice, and we can either keep that going across here, or we can just go around the entire map, not just the quote-unquote original castle area. But I would like to know your thoughts on this idea, this general design. We do have the ability, because we can put, you know, terrain on top of nothing, as long as it has adequate support, to not actually have this entire thing completely full of dirt. It just has to be, for 6 wide, it just has to be the outside walls without even this 2 wide here. It would just be 2 wide at the top. That would make it a lot quicker and a lot cheaper to build this. So I think that is probably what's going to make the most sense to do. But I'm open to your suggestions. If you want to say, no, we have to have all the dirt, then okay, it's going to take a lot longer of a time, but that would be a little bit of a challenge element to what we're doing as well. To try and actually accumulate large quantities of resources and bolster the industrial stuff and give us a little bit of an added difficulty thing, if you will. And I'm not opposed to that at all. I think that could be a very good challenge for where we are. But remember, this is episode 25, and these series typically last between 30 35 episodes. I'm not saying that's when this one will end, but just to give you a general idea of how long my playthroughs typically go. I'm going to go ahead and cap this off because, you know, it's there's no reason not to do it. We can always open it at a later point in time. But it just makes sense for us to go ahead and get this, because it's already a drought, and just make our lives a lot easier. Now, I don't think there's any other ones that we absolutely have to do because of how we have this laid out. Obviously, this... There I go again. This is a natural thing, and we could, technically... This is something we also talked about in the Discord a little bit. We could technically come in here with a set of sluices, and we'd have to remove these blockages and build something else. We could completely enclose this. I clicked on the wrong thing. We could completely enclose this and just hold all the bad water in, which will stop it from, you know, gushing out during a bad tide. But the problem with doing that, as we've seen in the Iron Teeth livestream playthrough, is that when it comes time to have the good tide, you know, you come over here and I had sluices over there, but whatever. You have this set to close above contamination 1%, it's never going to go back down below 1% because it's already fully pressurized with Badwater. It might go down a little bit, but it's not going to get down to 1% or 0% unless you manually open it. So that does kind of restrict the usefulness of the sluice gates in that specific scenario. So I don't think that's something we're going to do. We just have this sluice set up here for filtering. But we also had a good suggestion about how to get this Badwater out of here. Because remember that this is just going to go wherever we point it. And we have tunnels. We could very, and I mean very easily, we have another 19 days. We can come by here, have this be 2 blocks wide, and just go right out the side of the map. And before they actually build this, I do want to check and see that I've placed this correctly, but all we have to do is just tunnel all the way out. And, you know, that would be a super, super simple, permanent Badwater diversion. And we could even, if we felt so inclined, we could even have this be completely concealed under terrain, super easy. And I think, honestly, that would be totally fine. So, I'm going to do it. Because why not? Gives us a good excuse to actually utilize all of these fun new things the game allows us to do. We already have path access with a zipline station right here. So the easiest way for us to get that done is going to be to come in here with a ladder. I will put it here so they can actually, you know, not be in the direct path. I lied. I'm going to put it here. And I'll show you why in a second. I do think about this stuff kind of in real time. But, like I said, we have to have this... Well, we don't have to, but it's going to look nice. We can have this whole thing kind of straightened out. Super nice. Should not be a terribly difficult thing for us to accomplish. But I am very, very interested to see this get accomplished here. So, we just make this as easy as possible. That blockage, I don't think, can be removed unless we have somebody up on top of it. But it's going to be nice. It's going to be super convenient. It's going to look pretty good. And we'll be able to have a nice time just flushing the nasty right out the side of the map here. And no more problems ever in this specific area, at least. So, because of the size of this, we will have to build paths through here as it's demolished, but we'll come back to that in due time. Wow, they made quick work of this. That's actually really nice. So I'm not going to get rid of this ladder stack because we might want to have access to this in the future. But, you know, it's not going to have any Badwater coming out. That's not going to have any Badwater coming out. We are still pumping. It might be not quite as polluted now. In fact, you know, I honestly really should have just built a stream gauge so we could have a better idea about this. But things are looking pretty good. We got 18 days left, and the reservoir is a little lower than I'd like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause both of the large water pumps because we have full water storage. And I want to make sure that all of this water, one, stays here. This is not really that bad for evaporation if it's all tall like this. And I want it to be able to feed our aquatic farm. Because while it is still, you know, not being fully utilized, if the stuff dies, it's super annoying to have to redo it. And it takes a long time for it to come back. But now I am so curious about seeing this take shape. I'm so excited. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the Beaver game, man, but like anytime some cool new feature comes in, it's just like it's like the only thing I can think about for a really long time. It's like different interesting ways to take advantage of this. But here they come. Blasting this out, super easy. It doesn't have to be taller than 1 unit, but if it does, we can always come back and do a second level. I'm not going to remove these platforms because we don't need to. It doesn't matter. So since they're coming down here, let's go ahead and just extend that path as far as it can go. We will have to, like I said earlier, expand this a little bit more. Just so they're going to be able to reach the actual end of the map there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, just about there. This should do it. We will have to monitor that. It says, yeah, it's still in range. Good. And then, of course, there's all this that has to get done. There's still a whole bunch of other, whatever you want to call it. But all of that will come in due time. This set of sluices probably still needs to stay here. But we can kind of slightly redesign this. And we can even have this, instead of levees, we can have this be dirt. We can expand the tree farm a little bit, but we will have to put contamination barriers in place on this side. But not this side, because there's not going to be any Badwater ever coming through here. Assuming we can build this in 17 days, which, you know, it's never guaranteed. Nothing is ever guaranteed in life, especially not in the Beaver game. But I think we are going to have a tremendous amount of fun with this. Let's just keep an eye on our dirt. Obviously, we're still getting some here, and I think since we have so many builders, just go ahead and start the process of squaring this off. We don't need to have this path here. That can definitely go away. This is no longer connected, but we do have here the ability to get over into this area. So that is going to be something we're going to have to focus on here a little bit. And I think, yeah, in 16 and a half days we shouldn't have any issues, but I'm not going to get rid of this until I'm absolutely sure. If you're wondering why I haven't done that yet. It's all about, you know, actually doing things as intelligently as possible. Yeah, they can't reach that, but we have the incredible power of stairs. Nope, I can turn those around. There we go. Nice and easy. Alright, did we get out the end yet? No, we did not. Why have we not gotten out the end? It actually masked the blasting sounds. But never fear, we have the layer tool. There we go. It's about to be a historic moment. Maybe. Except they're, you know, taking their sweet time to do, which is fine. It is kind of a long distance. Ah, okay, they're doing this first because they have the dirt. Alright, understandable. You know how it goes. I mainly just want to see this whole thing completely done. So I kind of want to go look at other stuff, but I know if I do, then we're going to miss this historic moment. It's like, you know, like when they're building tunnels in real life, like, I guess probably the best example that many of you might be familiar with would be the Channel Tunnel, when they linked France and Great Britain with the tunnel that they put the Eurostar through. They had the two teams digging from either end, and they meet in the middle, and then the equipment breaks through, and it's this whole thing of, hey, cool, we did it, and then, you know, fun stuff like that. But we're just staring at pixels on a computer screen, so I guess it's not really quite the same thing. But it does still feel like kind of a monumental moment for our beavers and our bots here. So we should... Yeah, there it is! There it is! There it is, folks. And, yeah, we can see straight the way through. I'm just gonna get rid of that real quick. But yeah, that is connected completely all the way through. Is that silly? Yeah, a little bit. But I like it. I think it's fun. So now they have all of this stuff coming in. And we have 15 and a half days left. I feel very, very good about this. And I think we're going to be able to have a tremendously good time expanding all... Like, we need more trees, right? But sometimes... Wait, why is that red? I don't remember that being red on Dragon before. Well, maybe I was wrong. It's like on Mythbusters. I've brought this up so many stinking times. But, you know, the one that comes to mind is the Can a ceiling fan, decapitate somebody, and then of course they can't reproduce it with the ceiling fans, so they bring in a lawnmower and a test dummy. It's like, okay, that's grotesque. But also really kind of interesting. But I digress very, 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 very heavily there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to time-lapse a little bit more of the construction of this. I'm going to try to get these guys to have this completely enclosed so we don't have to worry about any sort of overflow, hopefully. But yeah, that's going to take up a decent chunk of the rest of this drought, which during that time we'll also be able to have most of that bad water either evaporated or pumped out in our farm reservoir area, and we'll get a little bit more progress done on some of the other things as well. Okay, so still a little bit of time left in this drought, but what we have done is we've made this entire 2-block tall canal here. I'm waiting to see how the bad water flows through this before I decide whether to cap this or do something else. So we've also added a little bit more land here. I know not all of it is irrigated, but it is set up to be protected from all of the contaminated stuff with the help of these contamination barriers. I'm going to do a little bit more here. Just do one more, just in case. But we started to run into problems because we had we had this dirt excavator running, but we didn't have enough power being produced because we still have not put in enough windmills to cover all of our needs during a drought. So you did see me pause some stuff during the time lapse, and we are going to turn it back on. But I just really did not want to be caught with without any power to be able to make stuff. So we'll go ahead and just get these guys going again. The centrifuges obviously had to get turned off because, there's no bad water. But we can go ahead and turn these pumps back on. We did successfully pump a pretty good amount of bad water out of our little area here. I'm going to go ahead, since this should never happen again, go ahead and get all of this out of here. Reclaim all of these pieces of wood. Very nice and simply. And I love seeing this Badwater dome completely closed. I love seeing that one completely closed. And, oh, our secret tunnel's not finished. Why is that? Why have they not built this? Is it because there's nothing underneath it? Because I feel like that shouldn't be an issue. I can, however, do this, and I think I'm going to need to for them to actually build this. But I guess we will have to wait and see. Oh, I see him carrying planks. Maybe that was the key the whole time. Just to get this thing taken care of there. Of course, once this terrain block is finished, then we can remove the double platform. And I probably am going to have to do a little bit more terraforming to fully hide the entrance to this. But honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. As really weird as this is, it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I feel like moving forward here, I'm going to wait for your feedback on what you'd like me to do with this before I decide fully. But I think it would be nice long-term to have this completely obscured so you can't see it. And then, of course, we have other stuff we can continue working on here. Like, I might as well go ahead, get rid of this path around the... you know what? No, I'm going to leave it. Because there's not a compelling reason right now to plant any more trees. We also have completely full storage. I know as soon as I get rid of that, it's going to be an absolutely just stupid problem. Instead, taking a look down here, if you recall from last episode during the time-lapse, we did have some nasty water creeping this way. So if we instead bring this path all the way around, then they can actually build all of this from the path and keep the bad water a little bit further away. I think I can probably make that work just like so. Should help a little bit. Give them something to do. That is closed off. We do have, more bad water coming up from here. We have clean water that can come from here, and then there's at least one other spot. But all that is going to take time. And of course, we talked about earlier on the episode about different ideas for constructing the outside walls here. So again, I will wait for your opinions on that before we actually begin. But from purely speaking from a perspective of I don't want to wait 10,000 years for this to be done, I do think it would probably be smart to just have the exterior walls, leave the whole thing hollow, and then build a level for the Badwater to go through unseen, and then a cap on top of that, and then we could do some maybe decorative stuff around the outside if I can find a convenient way to kind of demonstrate. Yeah, they can't reach this. We'll just go ahead and do this here. So what I was thinking of was, you got your 2 wide gap here, you got your 2 wide bit right there. If we wanted to get cute with this, we could do these things here, and then we could have this kind of be just empty, or we could elect to have the Badwater on top. I've considered that as well. I'll go with whatever you guys seem to agree on wanting the most. But I like the idea of having pathways so the beavers can walk, and then doing some decorative stuff. Like, obviously hedges probably wouldn't make sense like this, but we got these wooden fences. I'll go ahead and unlock them. How do you guys feel about something like that? Obviously, you can't see this because it's not built, but this, I think, would look pretty cool. Looks like we're about to get into cycle 37, so that'll mark the beginning of the end of this episode. But let me know your thoughts about this very simple, but hopefully kind of interesting looking design. Go ahead and I'll just leave this here. I know they can't reach it, so it doesn't matter, but just keep a reminder. Cycle 37, day 1. We've got some nice clean water coming in here. This is, of course, locked open. I will automatically, just close this so we can get this completely taken care of. I am so pleased with what we've been able to get done today, and I hope you are too. I like the secret tunnel thing. I think it is hilarious. But why has this not been built yet? I can't understand. I don't get it. So, I don't know. Maybe there's just something here that I've got to gotta figure out. But I can't, for the life of me, figure out why it's not being built. But we'll go ahead and do our end of episode fun stuff here while we wait to see if it is possible for this to actually be completed. But I really appreciate you guys watching these videos. I appreciate your patience working through some of the technical kinks with the new updates, and whenever mods or things get broken, that stuff does tend to happen, and it's just the way it goes. We can't really be too upset about it. Again, it is experimental mode, but I am so glad we get to spend this time together, and I'm very grateful that you guys choose to support the channel, whether it's just by watching the videos, or if you're on the Beard Booster list, directly financially contributing, making it possible not only for these videos to continue, but for me to provide for myself and the people I care about, which means a whole lot to me. And I can never say thank you enough for making it possible. So, all that being said, we are going to end this video here. And we will see you back in this playthrough on Tuesday. And then tomorrow we have most likely the last episode of the Apocalypse Mode series. So, hope to see you there. And we'll have some fun new stuff coming in the days and weeks approaching. I know I've been saying that forever, but we're actually getting to the point now with that series about to end that's going to be possible. So get excited, folks. We'll see you then. For now, though, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.